Good morning, Unity Halton Peel. Today is April 6th, April 7th. No, 6th. We're getting close to Easter and my mind is a bit overwhelmed. So everyone in the room right now and anyone watching in the future, we're going to have an activity. So if you want to take a moment, get a piece of paper or whatever, your journal, something, we're going to do a little activity as part of our lesson in meditation. So prepare yourself for that. And again, for those of you on the call, thank you in advance for muting yourselves. And here we go. Oh, and I realized I didn't introduce myself. So I'm Wendy Karr, licensed Unity teacher. If you're a follower of our gatherings, then you'll know that. And I am both your host and your speaker today. So let's get started with a reminder here and just taking a breath. I have had a very busy week. Part of me is still buzzing from it. And part of me is trying really not hard to stay in this moment and not think about all the things that are on my agenda this week and just try to take myself into that now moment. So I just invite everyone, give yourself permission to be in this now moment. And we gather together in part to support our mission to lovingly inspire transformation and be of service in the world. And you know what I've discovered this week is sometimes something as simple as smiling at a stranger and saying, hey, can be a true blessing and service to the world. Our affirmation for 2025 is that we at Unity Halton Peel are blessed with an abundantly thriving community. And by this, we don't just mean our gathering community, the people that are here as part of the membership of Unity Halton Peel, but we mean that individually we are thriving. Individually, our relationships, our finances, everything that we do is blessed and is a blessing. And we just acknowledge that it is done. And now I'll call on Margaret to share with us the daily word for today.
Thank you, Wendy. So assurance is the topic for our daily word reading for Sunday, April the 6th. I live with the assurance of my divinity. There may have been times I doubted my ability to create my highest imaginings and resign myself to living a limited life. Today, I make a new choice. I see myself as fully divine and fully human. I'm so much more than my past. Even if I have made regrettable decisions or disempowering choices, I have assurance that with each new day, I can begin again and build the life I want to live. As I pray, I feel the limitations of the world fall away. In the silence, I feel the presence of God and the fullness of my own divinity. This is the enduring truth of who I am. I affirm I'm strong, I am creative, I'm wise. I leave the past behind and eagerly create my future, assured my eventual success. By this we know that we abide in him and he in us, because he has given us his spirit. John 1, chapter 4, verse 13.
Thank you, Margaret. All right, today's music is either a blend of old songs that we haven't heard in a while, or it might be totally new to you. And we're going to open with Room at the Table.
Let our hearts not be hardened to those living on the margins. There is a room at the table for everyone. This is where it all begins. This is how we gather in. There is room at the table for everyone. share. There is room at the table for everyone. There is room for us all, and no gift is too small. There is room at the table for everyone. There's enough if we share. Come on, pull up a chair. There is room at the table for everyone. Let our hearts not be hardened to those living on the margins. There is room at the table for everyone. This is how we gather in for everyone. Everyone.
All right. April already. And from our monthly theme, our theme is I am blessed. The affirmation is I am blessed beyond measure. And if you haven't been to Unity's World Headquarters, this is the Bridge of Faith. And the fountains you see there are actually a football field long. They're huge and they're wonderful. And it's always a sign of spring when the fountains come on. So I know that everyone there is looking forward to the fountains coming on. And let us just get into an attitude of quiet as we bless and appreciate Unity of London and Unity of New Westminster. Those of you who don't know where New Westminster is, it's in BC. And we bless and appreciate the two communities there. We bless and appreciate unity across Canada and around the world. And our affirmations for the month of April. And again, if you haven't been to Unity Village, this is the barn where the organic produce that is grown on the land is sold. And unfortunately, it wasn't open the day that we visited, but we just appreciate that there is this tradition of being part of the land. Our affirmation for inner peace. I allow peace to permeate my being. Our affirmation for wisdom. I allow wisdom to reign in my mind. For life. I allow life to flow in my body. For prosperity. I allow abundance to be my experience. For order. I allow order in my thoughts. And let's just take a moment and breathe these 5 thoughts into our minds and hearts, knowing that they can provide guidance as we move through this month. Favorite group of mine, and I'm so glad to finally have some of their music ready to share with you folks. A song by Devotion called These Times.
I can hear such sadness in the voices of my friends, talking about this world and its pain. must not lose heart. We cannot give up hope. For long have we journeyed, waiting for this day. These times seem so uncertain, so unkind. But this path makes us stronger, the higher we climb. We were made for these times. Let us turn our fears into courage, into faith, our greed to generosity. We can give our anger to love's compassion and move this injustice toward peace and unity. These times seem so uncertain, so unkind. But this path makes us stronger, the higher we climb. And we were made for these times. Didn't we say we are believers? Didn't we ask for grace? We must remember right now we are needed to stand and shine our light in this hour, in this place. These times seem so uncertain, so unkind. But this path makes us stronger, the higher we climb. We were made for these times. These times seem so uncertain, so unkind. We shall use our voices, we will not walk blind, and we were made for these times. Our hearts were made for these times.
All right. Love that song. So our topic for today is I am blessed beyond measure. And I was trying to figure out how to pull these things together. Because I don't know about you folks. I try not to watch too much news. And in general conversation, things come up. And right now it's feeling a bit chaotic. And someone said to me, I don't know how I feel. Now you might feel like we're in a maze right now, that there's no clear start and end. There's no clear path to wherever it is we want to get. We might feel like the stresses of our lives are just fraying everything away until we get to, our very last part of the thread. Or we might feel that things are unraveling, that things that we're used to having happen in a particular orderly way aren't happening that way. I am blessed that I am on a number of teams and I serve at the national and international level. And in talking with colleagues who are from the US and Canada, many of us are feeling a little off right now, to be quite honest. There's a lot of shifting sand beneath us, and we're not sure what's underneath that shifting sand, if there's rock or if it's a sinkhole. And I'm not going to ask for a raising of hands or anything, but perhaps this is resonating with you. And I have some ideas about that, and that's why I want you to have a piece of paper handy. So one of the things I got thinking about is, okay, how do I deal with stressful times? What are the things that I do? So you may notice that the background is pink here. And that is because traditionally the month of April is the month of love, the month that we take our full spiritual self and we've divided it up into 12 sections so we can focus on a bit of it at a time. Now, in Unity's tradition, love is usually April, but of course we have Valentine's Day in February. So some folks switch the two and they take strength, which is it is the core teaching for February, and they flip it with April. So I was thinking about, okay, love and strength, these two together. How do I blend these two? And I realized it came to me um, in one of those ways that tells me that it's not my own thought, that it's something a little bit deeper or greater, of a trinity. And my trinity includes awareness of miracles, awareness of blessings, and gratitude. And as you can see, they interact with each other, they overlap each other. And this is what I've developed as my strength, that I rely on these three things to create that firm foundation on which I can draw when I'm in a time of stress, when I'm in a challenge. And I can choose to do so in a loving way that is honoring myself, honoring those around me, and doing the best that I can to be in a mental health way as well as a spiritual way. So let's talk about this Trinity. Now, I'm going to do a cop out, and I freely admit it. Miracles. Go watch Debbie's talk from last week. It was awesome. My definition of miracles is anything that we do not understand scientifically. So I will include in miracles the fact that bumblebees can fly, because I do not understand how bumblebees can fly. I do not understand how a horse can jump so high and not break its leg. Now, some do, but by and large, it's very rare that I have watched an equestrian jumping event, which is my personal favorite. I love watching jumping and dressage and watching those horses do things on those spindly legs and say, how is this possible? How? It doesn't make any sense. So to my human eyes, that's a miracle. But as Debbie pointed out last week, and thank you, Debbie, I manifested this miracle many times. Parking spots in busy parking lots. Pulling in, I'm sort of scanning. Oh, look, there's somebody pulling out and there's nobody around. Put my blinker on and claim that as my own spot. So go back and watch. She has a lot more to say on that. But let's talk about the awareness of blessings. What is a blessing? Well, I've kind of discovered it can be used as a noun and as a verb. When you look at how it's used in scripture, it's kind of both, because you receive a blessing or you ask for a blessing. So it's the action of blessing, and it is also the asking for or receiving of something good. I found it really interesting. This is my results for the NRSV Bible, the New Revised Standard Version. And I thought that there would be a lot more. Now, when I went back and I just did bless, which in the way that this particular search works, included blessed, blesses, and blessing, I got a way more. But I wanted to look just at the word blessing, because that was our affirmation for this month. And I found it interesting that most of the blessings in Genesis have to do with prehistorical stories that tell us how we got to a certain place. So the story of Isaac and Esau, the story of uh, the creation, the stories of being a blessing to the world. So a little later, Jacob is told he will be a blessing to the world and he will be renamed Israel. Um, the blessing of Abraham. So all of these things. And then you'll notice we don't have very many again until Deuteronomy. And most of the references to blessing in Deuteronomy, and I know not everybody reads it, it can be pretty heavy, it can seem very foreign, but a lot of it is about how do you get God's blessing. Now, let's just take a step back because, in unity we declare that God is all good and everywhere present. So how could we need to ask for a blessing? Well, in the period of time when this was written, that understanding was not as common. It was very much a dualistic society because, as we see right now, and as our song from devotion told us, it feels like there are things happening that are not nice, that are evil, that are not positive, that are not healthy. And we could spend hours just debating and discussing all of that. But if we take the time to say, okay, what is the underlying story in Deuteronomy? The underlying story is basically here is how to live a spiritual life, and here is how to have public health. And you might say, well, what do you mean public health? If you look at the kosher food laws, many of them are keeping people who live in a warm climate without benefit of electric refrigeration healthy. They're forbidden from eating foods that spoil and that can make you very, very sick. And for me, that was an aha when I first learned that many years ago. That the purpose of Deuteronomy is to put God in the midst of everything you do and to be aware of God or spirit or whatever. I'm using God because that's how it's worded in Deuteronomy. The idea of being in alignment with your spiritual self. The idea that whatever you're doing, whether it's you're in a time of prayer and meditation, which let's face it, that is a really easy time to feel yourself in alignment with. Heavy traffic and people doing weird things and you just want to flip them the bird and yell at them and things like that. Not so much. It can be very difficult to be in that alignment as you're going through things like that. And let's face it, we've all had challenges in our lives, whether it's losing a job or losing a relationship or having financial issues or having housing issues or whatever, or finding that there's more expenses than there is money in the bank and there's more days than one would like before that gets replenished. How do we get into a space where we can see the blessing in all of this? And again, I find it interesting that in the Apocrypha, which if you haven't read that, it's a group of books that were in the Bible, but then were taken out and kind of have remained out. And it's a long, and there's some politics to it. So I don't want to spend a lot of time, but I find it really interesting that there's quite a few samples in that one. And that particular book is a collection of it's almost like Proverbs. It's another how-to with your spiritual experience. So blessed, and blessing doesn't necessarily mean the same thing. To me, it means a level of understanding. One of the things that we hear about and we read about as we're going through the Gospels is that Jesus, who unity looks to as a master teacher, as our way shower, as our elder brother, as someone who we look to as an example of how to live a spiritual life. You look at the times that he blessed someone versus the times that he cursed someone. Who did he curse? Invariably, the people that were doing stuff for political purposes, for their own personal power, for the good of a few rather than the good of the many. You find, if you read through the stories, you will find that Jesus blesses many things, not just the children. Often, the blessing is connected with gratitude, which is the third of my Trinity. That it is a blessing. Every miracle that Jesus ever performed was a blessing with gratitude. Every single time. And if we are to follow this kind of a path, then it becomes responsible for us to try and see the blessing in the midst of the chaos, in the midst of the discomfort. And that brings me to the grocery store. And why would I be in a grocery store? I would be in a grocery store because one of the things that I have carried with me as a blessing, as a gift from my church of origin, was a story. And the story went something like this. I've long since given up the piece of paper that it was provided to us on. But it went like this. So two siblings both have chicken pox. Had chicken pox, not pleasant. The only time my dad allowed me to have a television in my bedroom was when I had chicken pox. And this would have been when you actually had to get up and turn the channel and there was no cable. There was limited choices, but I digress. So picture, if you will, two children who are kind of cranky because they're uncomfortable because of the chicken pox. And their dad challenges them before he goes off to work to find a blessing. And if they can't find a blessing, to at least find something to be grateful for. So the children try and figure out what he's meaning and and they look at the trays that their mom had brought them with their breakfast. And they start to look at everything on their plate. How did all of those things get to them? So the boy says, well, I'm glad for the orange juice because I know it's helping my body. He says, but how did it get to us? And then they start thinking and they start talking back and forth and they realize that, okay, so let's backtrack it. Let's roll the tape backwards. So let's roll the tape backwards. So we're grateful for mom who poured the juice. We're grateful for dad who works and brought the money so that we could buy the juice. And yes, this is in the 70s, so mom's at home and dad's working. We're grateful that dad did the dishes last night so we have a clean glass to put our juice in. We're grateful that mom went to the store and bought the juice. We're grateful to the company that made the juice. We're grateful to the farmers who grew and harvested the oranges to send to the factory to make the juice. We're grateful to the trees for making the oranges. We're grateful to the sun and the rain for making the tree grow. We're grateful to the trees for having that. We're grateful for however those trees got planted in the first place. You see where I'm going? And then they looked at their oatmeal. And again, they worked backwards through the purchase of the oatmeal, the fact that some farmer somewhere had grown the oats and that they had been processed and that they had been taken to the grocery store and that their parents had bought it for them and that there was electricity to boil the water to make the oatmeal and that they had clean water to make the oatmeal with and that they had sugar. And then they started down a whole other path of where the sugar came from. And then they realized that, well, but we have dishes that this was served in. So they started working on how the factories worked, how we went backwards for the point at which everything started. And Mom noticed by the time lunch came around, the kids weren't as grumpy as they had been. In fact, they were quite enthusiastic about looking for how things had emerged and what was there to be grateful for, what was there to bless, and perhaps more importantly, who was there to bless, whether it was the farmer or the pickers of the crop, or the truck drivers that took it to the factory where it would be processed into food, or it was the truck drivers that brought the dishes to the store to be sold, or it was the captain and crew of the ships that brought materials from and food from other parts of the world, or it was the pilots and the crew of the planes that brought things here, there, and everywhere. The time of this recording, we've been trying in Canada to buy locally as much as possible. And sometimes that's difficult, especially this time of year, because let's face this, peaches are not in season yet. So as I was looking, okay, where can I buy my peaches from? And then I got into kind of an argument with myself about, well, what about the carbon and the pollution and the energy required and things like that. And I had to stop myself and say, it is here. It is present for me. I can make good choices. I can be a good steward and perhaps buy those fresh fruits that are from parts of Africa and South America that are currently in the harvest time. And to be gentle with myself around those choices. To appreciate it as a blessing, as something special, rather than taking it for granted or beating myself up that I really shouldn't because I it's it's not something I'm worthy of. The blessing to myself of late has been I have been buying frequently clementines from Morocco, and I have been blessing and appreciating the plane or the ship, whichever one it came over on, whoever loaded that vessel, whoever picked those fruits and put them in the bags and prepared them to come across. Because I see it as a blessing to myself, because for me, honest to God, vitamin C is an important part of my diet. And so it is a way of blessing myself. It can be difficult to find the ways to bless ourselves. I think in North America, we spend a lot of time taking ourselves apart and, kind of casting ourselves alongside others who seem to have more wealth or more beauty or more stuff or more education or more, whatever. And this is the time to me that, especially as we're approaching it, if you haven't been paying attention to the calendar, next week's Palm Sunday, 2 weeks today is Easter. This is a time for blessing. This is a time for being aware of who and what we are. And I'm giving thanks that my computer warned me that it was running out of juice, so I could plug it in. This idea that we can be a blessing to the world, that we can be who we are, who we were called to be. And so what I'm going to invite you to do on your paper is start with something simple in your life. You might even start with the pencil or pen in your hand. And I want you to draw back how many layers back and how many people has that gone through to process it to the point that you could purchase it and make use of it. Whether it's something that's kind of temporary, like a clementine, the peel will go into my compost bin and it eventually will return to soil. The contents itself will go in my body and feed my body. Or it could be something more substantial, like my computer, or like the cup I have my drink in. So I'm just going to invite us, instead of a spoken time of meditation, just a quiet time. I'm going to time for 3 minutes, which I realize isn't enough to really do a deep dive, but I hope it's enough to just kind of get your juices flowing of what is a blessing to me and how many layers of people and things and events have brought that blessing to me. So, with that, go and find your path, and I will be back in approximately 3 minutes. I am a blessing. I am a blessing. I receive blessings. Blessings are a part of my life. And as we move into the next portion of our gathering, just invite you to bring your thoughts into a place of maybe not conclusion, but just a pause. And let's listen to our next song.
yourself into my heart. Whoa, whoa, wonderful spirit, pour yourself in me and pour yourself into my heart. Whoa, whoa, wonderful spirit, pour your joy in me, pour your joy into my heart. Whoa, wonderful spirit, pour your joy in me, pour your joy in me, pour your joy into my heart. Wonderful spirit, shine your light in me, shine your light into my heart. Wonderful spirit, shine your light in me, shine your light into my heart. Whoa, wonderful spirit, sing your song in me, sing your song into my heart. Wonderful spirit, sing your song in me, sing your song in me, sing your song into my heart. Whoa, wonderful spirit. Dance and smile in me, dance and smile in me, dance and smile into my heart. Whoa, wonderful spirit, dance and smile in me, dance and smile into my heart. Whoa, wonderful spirit, pour yourself in me, pour yourself into my heart. Whoa, wonderful spirit, wonderful spirit, wonderful spirit.
And so it is. I know for myself that I found another wonderful rabbit hole to go down of how to bless everyone of who made my car. I was lots of bits and pieces in that one to bless and appreciate. As always, our Unity prayer chaplains and prayer team members are available. And your prayer request or intention doesn't have to be something that you're concerned about. It can be a celebrate with me. There's a new baby in our family, or celebrate with me. I've got a new job. We're always looking to bless and appreciate what is going on in our lives. And as always, prayers are held in confidence for 30 days at Unity Halton Peel and then forwarded to Silent Unity, which is the headquarters prayer ministry, which has been around for over 130 years, and they will also pray for 30 days. And you can send your request to praywithdiane@gmail.com. And now it is time to bless Unity Halton Peel with our financial gifts, knowing that Our volunteer hours are appreciated as well, that we choose to be in the flow. And let us just take a moment to breathe in and bless whatever we are choosing to share. And together we say, divine love now flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and is a blessing wherever it goes. And I felt the need to share a song that I found deep in the recesses of my hard drive. And we haven't heard it in quite a while. And I thought today's a perfect day to bring it back.
With a home for your heart, with a home for your heart, with a home for your heart. Here at Unity, we are to find love that comes from within. We are the teachings where healing begins. We are the kindness. Everyone's welcome here. We are the home for your heart. We're the home for your heart. We're the home for your heart. We're the home for your heart. Here at Unity. And we believe that everything works for good, and we surrender what no longer serves, and we forgive so that we can be free. We are the home for your heart. We're the home for your heart. We're the home for your heart. We're the home for your heart. Here at Unity. There is joy and excitement in all that we see, all that we have, and all we're meant to be. There is passion and joy for all the opportunities. For now we are free to be who we are being called to be. We're the home for your heart. We're the home for your heart. We're the home for your heart. Here at Unity. We're the home for your heart. We're the home for your heart. We're the home for your heart. Here at Unity. We're the home for your heart. We're the home for your heart. We're the home for your heart. Here at Unity. Here at Unity.
Thank you, Debbie. That is such a wonderful song. As always, we tithe off of our incoming funds. And this month we support Eden Food for Change and Unity Canada. If you are watching this and still online, we are welcoming you to join our newsletter so that you will see what's happening, and it provides all of the Zoom links for events. Winding down the Lenten season because Easter is almost here, and we will continue. We have 2 more sessions to go, and it's been a very interesting booklet about the experience in Gethsemane. Last chance to register for the Canadian conference in Calgary. Also, if you are interested in attending virtually the annual general meeting, that is also at the website, and you are welcome to join us for that. Spirit groups, spring registration is starting. Some of the groups actually kick up this week. Isis in the Bible, which is out of the Windsor Spiritual Center. Sharing Wisdom, which is co-sponsored by Kitchener and Ottawa. Experience a Profound Mystical Journey is also from Windsor, and that one looks interesting. And finally, blowing my own horn a little bit, the spirit group I co-facilitate with my friend Nancy. What's so good about the good book? If you've got questions about the Bible, that's what we are talking about. And as I've said before, we're kind of a quirky group. We come together and honestly and lovingly listen to each other and talk about what it means to us. And we'll start next week on the 17th. And that is every announcement we've got. So let us wrap up our gathering together and just take a moment to breathe into our minds and hearts the children in our families, the children in our communities, and the children of the world. And we say, children and youth of unity and of the world, we love you, we bless you, and we appreciate you just the way you are. And we know that they are blessed and a blessing. Let us join together in our closing prayer. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is. I am divine. And as is our tradition, Sue K. Riley will sing us out.
Peace in my life is growing because I choose love. Love's always present, it's what I'm made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one tie that binds us, that can't be undone. I choose love. Peace in my family is growing because I choose love. Let love be present, it's what we're made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one loving family, sharing one sun. I choose love. Peace for our planet is growing because I choose love. Let love be present, it's what we're made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one choice unites us. Let this be the one. I choose love. I choose love. I choose love.
Thank you for joining us today. Have a blessed and peacefully prosperous week. Until next time.